determines whether you meet your goal. The task begins tomorrow in Miami, where a powerful hurricane awaits Bowden's third-ranked Seminoles.
Winners of 11 in a row, the Hurricanes haven't lost since early last season, since the Seminoles buried them in Tallahassee 41-17.
The way that they beat us last year was unlike any Miami team that I've ever seen. And I just want to redeem myself.
And Holmes believes redemption starts on his side of the ball with the Miami defense. Ranked #1 in the country in total defense and scoring defense, giving up just 1 touchdown in 4 games.
It's going to be a nasty game. It's going to be a nasty game.
Nasty because Florida State's defense against a tougher schedule is ranked 3rd in the country in total defense and points allowed.
We're going to have to go down there and just shut Miami out. I mean, that's to be assured of a win. The only way we can be assured of a win is make sure they don't score any points.
It's going to be a defensive game. They got a great defense, and you know our defense has been playing great. So I think it's going to come down to both of the defenses who's going to win this game.
I think both teams are going to play great defense. I'm not too sure that the team that won't win is the team that executes and plays the best on offense.
The Seminoles have been erratic, failing to pass for more than 80 yards in 2 of their first 4 games. But first-year starter Thad Busby threw for a career-high 304 yards and 4 touchdowns last week against Clemson.
Some of the pressure's off, but I mean, I just got to go out there and keep producing.
Ryan Clement has been there. His first start was that flop at Florida State a year ago, but he hasn't lost since, gaining confidence in the Canes' improved rushing attack and his receivers, even against the Seminoles' highly touted secondary.
They'll come to play. They're going to be good football players, but I think that our receivers can beat them. I think that they're more athletic than they are. It's going to be a testament, and it's going to be a test. See what happens Saturday. You know, I'm kind of setting that out there for our receivers. I'm saying, look, I think that we can get this done. Now we're going to either put up or shut up.
A Florida State injury could affect the Seminoles' pass defense. Senior cornerback Byron Capers sprained his ankle at practice on Tuesday. He was still wearing a boot cast on Wednesday and is questionable for the game. At the Orange Bowl, Steve Cyphers, ESPN.
Thank you, Steve. Here's what's going against Thad Busby in his first start ever against Miami. It's the fact that this will be his first start ever against Miami. You see, the last Seminoles quarterback to beat the Canes in his first start was Peter Tom Willis back in '89. The last Noles quarterback to do that at the Orange Bowl was Eric Thomas, all the way back in 1980.
Well, you know, the last 13 times we've played, there's been 5 national championships come out of this game, you know, the winner. And of course, Miami's had most of those. So, yeah, I think this is a big one for both of us, and will have national implications usually.
You haven't beaten Miami in the Orange Bowl since 1984. What are you going to do differently today, besides try to win?
Well, nobody else has beat them either, have they? They've been pretty tough down here. Yeah, they've been pretty tough down here. People say you bring a new quarterback in there, you can't beat them. Hey, you can bring seniors, juniors, red shirts, and everything else. It's hard to beat them. But we just got to go out and play the best we can play. That's all we can do. We're prepared. We had a heck of a week of practice. I think they're going to have to be better to beat us. If they beat us, I think they got a better ball club.
Coach, the last time you and I visited, you were down in the Orange Bowl getting ready to play Miami a couple of years ago, and you said that you had a big old cake the night before a ball game. How many cakes did you pound last night?
You know what? When I get nervous, I eat, you know. So during football season, my weight goes up. Some people's goes down. So I think I'm under two cakes last night.
All right, in terms of the football game, rivalries like this are very seldom matched. Is there any other intense game like this that you've ever seen?
This is probably the most intense I have been connected with. Now, the Florida State series is becoming pretty contested, too. You know, you look see who #1 is today. So we got our hands full, and I feel like if you can win the state championship, you know, if you can beat both of those guys, you're going to be in that big game. You might not win it, but you're going to be in it.
Bobby, this is Danny. Because both defenses are so strong, it looks like it's going to be very difficult to mount 70, 80-yard drives. Do you think the outcome of this game will be determined by the big play?
I think 2 things. Mistakes. I think it'd be a low-scoring ball game unless somebody wants to make a lot of mistakes. And then the other thing is a great player. I've told my players, a great player has got to make some great plays, because I don't think there'll be many sustained drives.
Coach, what makes this game so special, this rivalry? You know all the players. You probably recruited some of the other players. The players know each other. The coaches know each other. What makes it so special?
Yeah, the amazing thing is it's within the same state. the other thing, there doesn't seem to be a lot of animosity between the two schools. I mean, we've had a great rivalry. Kids fight like mad, but there's not too much jawing going on, you know. We got a lot of kids. They got a lot of kids we tried to recruit. We got a lot they tried to recruit. And then it is a series that has made itself. It's not something that was fabricated or just thought up. I mean, this game is a great series because, again, 5 national championships has come out of the winner of this game the last 12, 13 years. That's why it's a great rivalry.
No question about it. Coach, thanks for giving us your time. Good luck today.
Hey, good to talk to you, man.
And, man, it looks like a little swirling behind there, but no rain down there.
Yeah, I tell you what he's worried about. He'll eat more.
Clement in Miami, trying to prove himself as another great Miami quarterback. Could today with a win. And Thad Busby for Florida State, trying to get Bobby Bowden the first win there since 1984. Big game. The Orange Bowl coming up next year on CBS.
It is a big game. Miami looks to be a much improved team, but they haven't really played a challenging schedule yet, Mike. So this will be the true test of just how much better they are in the second season.
All right, Pat, we have a great scene here. Sold out, of course, at the Orange Bowl. We have some stiff winds. I'm not sure if they're hurricane winds, but we'll find out here when we get underway in about 15 minutes. Florida State's been out for a warm-up. They are all pumped up, as is the University of Miami. The Hurricanes undefeated 4-0. The Seminoles 4-0. Miami ranks 6th in the nation. Florida State is 3rd. Florida State with the star running back Warrick Dunn. So they're about to tangle, and Terry Donahue alongside. And Terry, let's talk about the psychology going into this game between these two teams.
Well, for Florida State, there are ghosts here in the Orange Bowl. They have not fared well against the University of Miami. They need to prove to themselves today that they can play with Miami in Miami. For Miami, it's just the reverse. They're cocky, they're confident, they think they have Florida State's number, but they haven't played anybody like FSU today.
11 straight wins for Miami, but let's get a little flavor from down on the field from Michelle Tafoya before kickoff. Michelle?
All right, Jim. Well, as you know, this crowd is anything but polite for this particular game, and the little bit of rain that's been falling on and off isn't bothering them a bit. But the visiting Seminoles are certainly holding their own. A few minutes ago, the entire Florida State football team lined up across the field. They held their helmets high into the air and ran straight at this Miami student section. And believe me, these guys weren't bothered a bit. And when the Miami team ended up leaving the field after warm-ups, their coaching staff had to do all they could to keep that Miami team from running right over the Seminoles. Jim, it's going to be a good one down here.
It really is, Michelle. High winds again, on and off showers expected as Florida State seeking its first win against Miami in the Orange Bowl since 1984. Right now, let's send you back to New York and my man, Pat O'Brien. Pat?
Charge. On Saturdays, your customers cannot receive 2-day packages from UPS. Sorry.
So, what's your priority? Priority mail from the U.S. Postal Service.
Prominence. Today, one dream will be broken, and one agonizing moment may linger if history repeats.
Has all the time in the world. End zone. Touchdown, Florida State. It is 26-25. Trying for 2. McManus on the take. Keeps, looks, throws, end zone. It is intercepted and knocked away by McDowell, and Miami has held him. 35-yard field goal to win it. Good snap. Here's the kick. It is up. It is no good. Florida State trails 19-16. The snap is back. The kick is on the way. It is no good. Wide to the right. The game is over.
Bobby Bowden won a national championship in the Orange Bowl 3 years ago, but he's not done. In Warrick Dunn, the Seminoles have a slashing back who many believe is the most dangerous runner in the nation. And he's not the only one focused on a national title. The defense has terrorized quarterbacks and given rise to the Seminoles' search for number 1. Miami has been smoking with 11 straight wins under Coach Butch Davis. He's got quarterback U up and running again with Ryan Clement, who's bringing a little bravado back to the Miami attack. And the Hurricanes have the #1 ranked defense in the country that has shut down and shut out its last 2 opponents as Miami is back making a statement. It's Florida State facing Miami next on CBS. Welcome to an overcast October Saturday in South Florida. There's still enough sunshine, however, for some to head to South Beach, while over at the port, others are about to embark on a week-long Caribbean cruise. Others are headed back to shore just in time for kickoff because there's something special brewing in this tropical breeze. It's Florida State and Miami next. The Florida State Seminoles ranked 3rd in the country, 4-0 with wins over Duke, North Carolina State, North Carolina, and Clemson. They come into the Miami game for the 7th straight year undefeated. Miami has beaten them, however, 4 of the last 6 years. The Hurricanes own the nation's longest win streak, 11 in a row, dating back to last year's loss to Florida State. And there's Butch Davis leading the Canes to the Orange Bowl field. They have beaten the Seminoles at the Orange Bowl 5 straight times. A pulsating scene we have for you today. Miami and Florida State. And hi, everybody. Jim Nance. Glad to have you with us here on CBS. Put this game in perspective. The winner of the Miami-Florida State game, 5 of the last 13 years, has gone on to win the national championship. My partner is Terry Donahue, the last man to beat Miami 2 straight times. Last year, UCLA beat Miami in the opener. Butch Davis' first game as the Hurricane coach, but Butch Davis is really doing some job. How about the new man for Miami?
Well, Butch Davis is an emerging star in college coaching. He was an assistant here at Miami with Jimmy Johnson. They won the national championship, went with Johnson to the Cowboys. They won 2 world championships. Now this is his Miami team. He's put his stamp on it with defense and discipline. His defense has not allowed a point in 13 quarters, but he's not played a ranked team, not like Florida State is today.
No, in fact, Miami has outscored the opponent this year 160-13. The quarterback is Ryan Clement for Miami. How about Ryan?
Well, Ryan Clement's first start last year was against Florida State. It was a disaster. He threw for under 100 yards. However, since then, he's 11-0 as a starter, and he raised a few eyebrows up in Tallahassee this week. He said at Miami, we don't think we can beat Florida State. We know we can beat them.
Yeah, that'll raise a few eyebrows, all right. Thad Busby, though, will get the start for Florida State, his 5th career start for the Seminoles, but the first start against Miami, and that's a rather perilous stat because not in the last 10 years has a Florida State quarterback getting his first start against Miami walked away with a win. We're talking about the likes of Danny Cannell, Danny McManus, and Heisman Trophy winner Charlie Ward. How about Busby?
Well, Thad Busby has got to play well here today. He started off very slowly this season, almost got benched, got his job back last week against Clemson, threw for 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. He is the key to the Seminoles this afternoon.
So there's been a lot of lip during the week, and some of it coming from the Miami quarterback. And for more on that story, let's bring in Michelle Tafoya, who will be on the sidelines today.
All right, Jim. Well, as you said, Miami quarterback Ryan Clement loves to play here at the Orange Bowl. In fact, he said this is where Joe Namath guaranteed that Super Bowl win. So as Terry mentioned, Clement basically guaranteed a Miami win today. Here's the exact quote Terry was talking about. He said, beating Florida State is not something we're going to hope to do. It's something we're going to do. Well, I asked Florida State running back Warrick Dunn about that quote. He said, you know, so much talking surrounds this game. I really don't listen anymore. Turns out in pregame warm-ups today, he got some yelling right at him. Warrick Dunn is going to be done in. And as advertised, Warrick Dunn ignored it and just jogged on by, Jim.
Well, Warrick Dunn really proved something last year against Miami, Michelle. He ran for 184 yards as Florida State was triumphant in Tallahassee, 41-17. The weather could be a factor here at the Orange Bowl. Temperature around 80 degrees. Cloudy skies and maybe some passing showers, but the winds gusting at times to 28-mile-an-hour winds. Florida State won the toss and elected to defer. Miami will have the football first, playing into the wind.
When you have a defense like Florida State, Jim, you should defer, particularly with the weather conditions.
The kick flies 3 yards deep, and it'll be run out by Benton. Magic Benton to the 20. Ryan Clement with some impressive numbers at the start of the season. 9 touchdown passes versus only 1 interception. And that's his main target right there, Magic Benton. He's caught 25 passes for almost 400 yards. Clement, a junior from Denver, Colorado. First down from the 20. And a mix-up by Miami, and Ferguson fortunate to get back to the line of scrimmage. Danielle Ferguson last year became only the 2nd runner in Miami history to have a 1,000-yard season. Carlo Joseph is his fullback. Benton and Jermaine Chambers, who has terrific hands. Chris Jones, the tight end. And the line with Blaze and Mercier. K.C. Jones, an all-league center, with Wayner and Jay Ina.
Every one of those offensive linemen played last year. They're too deep. Might be Miami's strength this year on offense.
Nick Williams has come in as the fullback, number 30, on 2nd and 10. Clement got a little one-on-one action and overthrows an open man, Yatil Green. Oh. He had at least a step on the defender, and open field ahead.
What's going to happen today is there's going to be press coverage on defense. Both defensive teams are going to get up there and press. That's exactly what Florida State did. Yatil Green beat the press. Ball was just overthrown by Clement.
Yatil Green has missed 3 of the first 4 games. He was suspended for 2 and then was out with a hamstring, but one of their top players here at Miami. Tyrell McMillan in as a running back on 3rd and 10. Florida State with 22 sacks, looking for another, and Clement just gets it away. He is drilled back at the 5-yard line by Greg Spires.
One of the things that happens to you when you're a quarterback and you've made a lot of pregame statements, those defensive guys on that other team get cranked up and they want to come after you. And right here, Ryan Clement is getting the heat from Greg Spires and Andre Wadsworth. Right there, Wadsworth puts a hit on him. What a hit.
The punt with a favorable Miami bounce, and down at the 33-yard line. The kick by Andy Crossland covering 47 yards. Thad Busby under the microscope. He had 5 interceptions in the first 3 games, but some performance against Clemson. Over 300 yards in the 4 touchdown passes. He's a junior from Pace, Florida, becoming the 4th straight Florida State quarterback to win the job as a junior. Had he not performed against Clemson last week, to the coach's satisfaction, they were ready to pull him for Dan Kindra, a redshirt freshman. From the 33, and Busby lofts the ball over the arms of Melvin Pearsall, the tight end, who only has 2 receptions on the season. Florida State going with a wind at its back here in the first quarter. Warrick Dunn, the All-America running back. Khalid Abdullah is his fullback. Green and Cooper both over 1,000 yards receiving last year. Cooper was the MVP here at the Orange Bowl in the win against Notre Dame, and there's the offensive line. 2nd down and 10 from the shotgun. Dunn for about 5, maybe 6. The Miami defense allowed Florida State 495 yards last year, but boy, have they improved in the last year. Holmes wanting to have a big day to prove that their defensive ends can match up with Florida State's. The linebacking core, all seniors at Miami. They returned 10 starters from last year. Little, Scott, Wimberly, and Starks in the secondary. We'll call it 3rd and 5 for Florida State. Busby almost Almost intercepted. He had the blitz coming on from Tony Coley, and he just had to unload it.
Tony Coley, number 47, is going to come right from the right side of the screen here. He's unblocked. The quarterback needs to unload that ball. That's a hot read for the quarterback. Miami blitzed and gave up a zone that time, left the zone open, but Florida State was unable to take advantage of it.
Sean Liss had a punt block last year by Miami, and it was returned for a touchdown, but he's an excellent punter. Their punter for the 4th straight year. And the fair catch made by Starks. Miami will start its second series again at the 20. Florida State, Miami, each 3 and out. The Citadel, Rutgers, and Pitt. Second possession from the 20. Ferguson with a hole for about 7. Shevin Smith got him in the secondary. There is a flag on the field. Florida State's defense has allowed only 3 points in the first half this year in 4 games.
Those may be the 2 best defensive ends in the country right there.
That's Wilson and Boulware. Crawford, Bush, the leader of the defense, Crockett. And the secondary was Saunders, Smith, Jackson, and Roll. And they rotate a lot of men in that secondary.
They play about 14 guys back there because they want those secondary guys fresh to play on special teams. They're great special teams play.
No wonder Ferguson had such a gap to run through, holding against the Hurricanes. Butch Davis sees his offensive line anchored by center K.C. Jones, a 4th-year starter. It'll be 1st and 19. The officiating crew, by the way, from the ACC, the opposing team, or the away team, gets to bring the officiating crew from their own conference. Clement, had to be careful there. Ferguson to the 14.
When you play in a big game like this, sometimes you're a little bit nervous. Clement right there, Ryan Clement got stepped on by one of the offensive linemen pulling out. The center, K.C. Jones, stepped back and stepped on Clement's foot, caused him to fall and almost pitched that ball incorrectly.
Florida State has allowed the opponent to only rush for an average carry of 1.1 yards an attempt. On 2nd and 16, Clement overthrowing and getting picked off. Nowhere close to a hurricane. Green was the intended target. Blockers in front. And that's Troy Saunders with the interception. Running it back to the 20. There is a flag on the field. 24-yard return and throwing into a stiff breeze, looking for a Yatil Green. He wasn't even close. Personal foul against Florida State.
In the pregame warm-up, Ryan Clement was not on target with the ball. There's a wind on the field. His ball was getting both high and away from him. That's exactly what happened on this intended pass. He just threw it way over the receiver's head, and Troy Saunders, number 4, comes up with the interception right here.
And the personal foul penalty, Terry, was after the pick, so it'll be Florida State football, and they'll back him up to about the 36.
And Yatil Green was open on the play. Just the ball wasn't even close to being on the target.
As you'll recall, the second play of the game, Green was open.
Overthrew him on that one.
Injured Hurricane. One of the offensive linemen will take a timeout.
Richard Mercier right there, number 62, is going to have a heck of a collision with Darrell Bush, number 44 from Florida State. Right there, there's the collision. Darrell Bush is the leader of that Florida State defense. He knocked the 2 starting quarterbacks out of the spring game. They had to go with the 3rd string for his own guys. That guy's the roughneck on that Florida State defense.
Mercier still getting some treatment, but appears to be okay. Walked away under his own power. Florida State takes over from from Miami's 35. Warrick Dunn in the backfield. Coles has come in. They're looking for Coles. And one-on-one coverage provided back there by Earl Little. That's Lavernius Coles they sent out as a receiver. He's usually in the backfield. He's a freshman tailback, but Coles was matched up one-on-one with Earl Little. And he was overthrown. Florida State quickly now back to the line. Busby has misfired on his first 3 attempts. Running play, Dunn shaking a tackle and gaining only 2 yards. Marcus Wimberly matched up with him, so it'll be 3rd and 8.
Warrick Dunn is the key to the Florida State running game. Miami has come into the game determined to make sure that he doesn't beat them on the ground or as a receiver.
Dunn, a dangerous receiver. 3rd and 8 for Florida State from the Miami 33. Busby, man's open. Has the first down. That's Abdullah. Let's get an injury update from that Mercier-Bush incident from Michelle Tafoya. Michelle?
All right, Jim. Well, Miami training staff's exact words were Richard Mercier had his bell rung. It turns out he probably has a slight concussion. They're going to keep him under evaluation and determine a little bit later whether or not he can return, Jim.
Okay, and Florida State has sent word, Michelle, that Bush broke his nose on that hit.
What a collision.
But will return. First down, Seminoles, 21-yard line. Busby out of the pocket. Somehow gets away the first time, but not this time. Bumped out at the 31. Bumped out by James Burgess. Lang had him also for a moment. It's a loss of about 9. Reinard Lang, one of the defensive ends at Miami, along with Kenny Holmes. They've heard all the talk about Florida State's exceptional 2 defensive ends, and they really want something to surface here today, and that's the fact that they can stay in their league.
They want to prove they're better than the Florida State defensive ends.
2nd and long. Busby going long. Little's down there on the coverage with Cooper. Excellent coverage provided. Cooper, who caught 3 touchdowns on this field January the 1st in a win against Notre Dame. He was the intended receiver for Busby.
The throwing conditions on the field are tough on the quarterback right now. The wind is swirling. Neither quarterback has really gotten good rhythm and good speed on the ball.
So now third and long for Busby. 3rd and 18, we'll call it. Wayne Messam has come in as a 3rd receiver. Miami showing blitz, but they back off. Busby up the middle. Incomplete. Looking for Green. And Wimberly had the coverage. That'll bring out Scott Bentley, the senior kicker. There he is, who won the national championship on this field for Florida State 3 years ago with a field goal.
Great defensive play there by Marcus Wimberly, number 24, against E.G. Green.
They got a new snapper at Florida State. Clay Ingram will snap it back to Travis Chambers. 48-yard try, Bentley. Good. Inside right. That has a better ring for the folks from Tallahassee. So Bentley drills it downwind from 48 yards. He's now made 7 out of 8 in his career at the Orange Bowl. And that is his career-long kick.
And the team that has scored first in this series has won 9 out of the last 10 games. So if you believe in that, Florida State's well on its way.
Scott Bentley, so scrutinized since he signed with Florida State, was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Everyone thought he would be the answer to Florida State that had been beat a couple of times with the wide right kicks by Miami that went on to cost him national championship chances. But now a senior, and you talked about how Darrell Bush had knocked out the 2 quarterbacks in the spring game. Scott Bentley had to play quarterback for Florida State. Did quite well in the spring game.
Well, there's Darrell Bush right there after that collision with Mercier. And Darrell Bush will be back in this football game. I would predict he is as tough a guy as there is at Florida State. You know, Scott Bentley has great respect from the teammates that he shares at Florida State. He's one of the captains. Unusual for a kicker to be elected one of the captains for the season. They elect their permanent captains after the year, but he's one of the temporary captains.
Bentley's kick this time even deeper, and Benton will not bring it out. Miami with 11 straight wins, 4 national championships dating back to 1983. But with 11 straight wins, that's the longest in the nation right now. Wyoming is second.
How about Army down there with 7? College football has changed so dramatically with scholarships and things like that. 15 years ago, you wouldn't see the Army in that position.
I'll say one thing about Miami's win streak, and take nothing away from Butch Davis, but his team has beaten only 1 ranked opponent in that entire stretch, and that was Syracuse when it was 22nd. Ferguson for 6. Butch Davis has never lost on this field in his second season. His first game as the Miami head coach was out of the Rose Bowl, and a Terry Donahue-led Bruin team of UCLA chopped them 31-8.
We played awfully well at UCLA that night, but I really respect the job that Butch Davis has done here at Miami. He's taken an approach of tough discipline with the players, and he's also coached the traditional Miami defense along with that explosive throwing game. Been very impressive.
Second and 4, Ferguson dropped for a good loss. Cannell Spain got to him, as did Demetro Stevens.
It's hard to block Florida State's front people one-on-one. They're just too dominant. Cannell Spain loops inside, comes right around on Ferguson, makes a heck of a hit on him. A big, good-looking defensive lineman right there.
Well, Clement's been a little shaky at the start. 3rd and 7 he faces. Play action. Clement firing. Good pass this time, complete to Jermaine Chambers. First down. A gain of 15.
The defensive back, number 2, Samari Roll, fell down on the play. Jermaine Chambers ran down the field, turned to the outside here, and number 2, Samari Roll, just slipped on the turf, allowing him to be wide open.
Nothing Florida State first quarter. Seminoles not allowed a point this year in the first quarter. And Miami's Danielle Ferguson, only the second back in school history to have 2,000 yards rushing in his career. Could eventually overtake, but would need some huge numbers the rest of the season. Could overtake Otis Anderson as the school's all-time runner. So far, those 6 carries, 8 yards against this stiff Florida State defense.
He's a very fluid running back. Got excellent vision. A lot of people here liken him to Thurman Thomas. That's who they try to compare him with.
Second down and 9. Clement with a quick fake. Over to Green. Into Florida Florida State territory at the 48. That's a first down for Miami. Yatil Green, junior, who has caught a pass in every game he's ever played in for Miami.
And Yatil Green is the most physical of the Miami wide receivers at 6'2", 205 pounds. And right there, it's just a little quick throw by the quarterback, gets the ball out to him in a hurry.
And that was not
Magic Benton wanted the ball too.
Yeah, that was not a tomahawk chop. That was a first down for Miami, says Benton. Tony Gator in as a receiver. Ferguson slicing, fumbling. Football picked up. Florida State running it back with Shevin Smith. Smith, touchdown, Seminoles. Shevin Smith, a kid from right here in Miami. In fact, a walk-on from the city of Miami, picking up the fumble and racing 54 yards for the touchdown.
Miami has laid the ball on the ground this year. Although they haven't lost a lot of fumbles, they have fumbled the ball this year. Right there, the ball is knocked loose. Danielle Ferguson drops it. Shevin Smith picks it up. A Miami player, like you said, do you think he'll be bragging around here tomorrow?
10-0. Seminoles halfway through the first quarter. Miami with two mistakes, an interception that led to a field goal and a fumble returned for a touchdown. 10-0 as Miami was putting together a little drive, but Ferguson fumbled and Florida State ran it back for the touchdown. 10-0. Crawford made the big hit. Vernon Crawford been fighting the flu all week.
Both coaches entering today's game talked about big plays. They must have said it 50 times if they said it once. We've got to make big plays. We can't give up big plays. Exactly what's happened thus far in the first quarter.
And once again, Bentley will not allow Miami to return the kick 2 out of 3 times in this opening quarter.
Vernon Crawford, the Sam linebacker for Florida State, comes in from the side and hits Danielle Ferguson. Ferguson never really sees him. Right there, knocking the ball loose, enabling Shevin Smith to pick it up and run for the touchdown. Sometimes running backs, if they see it coming, they can squeeze that ball a little tighter, put it away. In that case, Ferguson never ever saw it coming.
Crawford looking for another big hit. Ferguson remains in the backfield. Here he is, holding on for 7. Hit by Sean Key. There is a flag down. Florida State's defense, again, they were 4-0 at this juncture last year. But, you know, last year, every team that the Seminoles faced managed to score in at least double figures, which is a little surprising. This year, they've held the opponents down 3 of the 4 in the single digits, including a shutout over North Carolina.
10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
Well, Florida State's been winning with their defense this year, and Mickey Andrews, the defensive coordinator, says that they're playing much more man coverage, which is allowing more blitzing, more pressure, and consequently being able to turn their front people, who many feel is the best defensive front in college football. He's able to turn them loose more this year.
Mistakes are haunting Miami early. They were called for a holding penalty, so replay the down, 1st and 13. Clement to Benton, out of bounds at the 28. Magic Benton, who signed originally with Florida State, and he was taunted a bit by the fans up at Tallahassee last year, reminding him that he should have been a Seminole.
Well, he signed a letter of intent with Miami, didn't qualify academically, and then changed his mind. Signed with Florida State, changed his mind, and went to Miami. He's a real weapon for Miami, maybe the most explosive player on the field for them.
2nd and 3, and Ferguson for the first down. Dexter Jackson hit him first. Danielle Ferguson.
Well, Danielle Ferguson has excellent vision. Vision means a running back runs to where the hole is, not to where the coaches designed the play. That's exactly what he was able to do there. The play was really outside of where he ran the ball, but there was a crack in the defense, and he took it, picked up the first down.
First and 10 from the 31. Fake to Ferguson. Looking for Green. What a catch at the 34 of Florida State. Samari Roll was on the coverage. 35-yard connection.
Yatil Green is a physical receiver. Ryan Clement underthrew this ball. It's a touchdown if he just throws it a little further, but he underthrew it. Yatil Green goes up, uses great athleticism to pull it down, and actually Samari Roll should have had a face mask penalty here. He grabs him by the face mask right there and pulls him down.
Throwing into the wind that at times is approaching 30-mile-an-hour gusts. But Green did have it by a step. Ferguson for a yard. 6 minutes to go, first quarter.
Butch Davis wants to be balanced today. He stressed over and over that he wanted to be able to run the ball as well as throw it, and he wanted to decide when he wanted to do that. And that's a big theme in Miami's game plan today, is not to just come out throwing, but establish the running game.
Nick Williams is the fullback in the eye. 2nd and 10. Never a chance. And the sack by Reinard Wilson gives him the school record, surpassing Ron Simmons. That's the 26th sack of his Florida State career.
Reinard Wilson, the man they call Big Country, comes from the right side of the screen right here against Jay Ina. He just overwhelms him.
So Reinard Wilson breaks the school sack mark with that loss of 10. He sends Miami into a 3rd and 20 tailspin. Mondrell Fulcher in as a tight end. Clement looking for Gator, and he overthrew him this time. Little Tony Gator, who last week got the first start of his career. He's a 5th-year senior. He got the start against Pitt and responded with 4 catches, 3 of them going for touchdowns. Real speedster. Couldn't catch up with that pass, however, and Miami will have to punt. Andy Crossland handles both the punting and placement chores. Miami has a chance to keep it in play, and let's see. Where are they going to spot it? Ball was touched just outside the goal line, and they'll down it inside of the 1. Nate Brooks was down there, number 2.
He's the headhunter for Miami on the special teams. Does not look like they have control of that ball. Hard to tell. Now they're moving it back out.
Yep.
I think that's the proper call. I did not think that should have been downed on the 1-yard line.
So another official comes in, and an overrule will bring it out to the 20.
That's a good thing about having 7 officials on the field. When one makes a mistake, someone else is able to go in and correct him and help him fix it.
Ball was actually kicked into the end zone and never had control of it.
Never had control of that ball.
Florida State with a 10-point lead in the first quarter. Trying to win at the Orange Bowl for the first time since 1984 against Miami. And Dunn looking to throw. Incomplete. Looking for Wayne Messam.
Warrick Dunn was a high school quarterback. He signed at Florida State. to come and play defensive back. Once Bobby Bowden saw him play a down of offense, he said, this young man's going to play tailback for me. But he always kept the halfback pass because of Dunn's experience playing the quarterback position. He doesn't look like much of a quarterback there to me.
Well, he had the wind at his back, but that's the second year in a row Dunn has thrown the halfback option against Miami.
Keeps that secondary soft.
Well, look at the secondary. Will have to make a move now. Dunn set free past the 50. Starks giving chase. Dunn breaks it for a touchdown. 80 yards.
Warrick Dunn, what a play.
He broke away from Marcus Wimberly, and Florida State just busting right out of the gates here with 16, looking for a 17th on the point after. And what was all that talk before the game about Warrick Dunn?
What was all that talk about Miami's defense and Florida State and the Ghost here at the Orange Bowl?
17-0, Seminoles. Warrick Dunn with an 80-yard run for a touchdown.
Watch why you want fullbacks in the game. Watch the fullback right here. The key block cuts the linebacker right there. That allows the hole to open for Warrick Dunn to get through. Once he does, great backs make defensive backs miss. That's exactly what Warrick Dunn did on that run. He made the Miami secondary miss.
That is the longest run of Warrick Dunn's storied career at Florida State. He's on his way to becoming the school's all-time rusher. He needed, coming into the game, a little more than 600 yards to overtake Greg Allen as the all-time runner at Florida State. But what an outstanding young man we're talking about here, Warrick Dunn.
Football is so interesting. Yesterday when we visited with Warrick Dunn, he mentioned to you and I that if they could come in here and really play well and make some big plays, they could upset Miami. They're favored in the game, but they were thinking about upsetting Miami here in Miami because of all the past things that have happened to Florida State here in Miami. Miami, on the other hand, totally confident, sure they're going to control the game early, all of a sudden fall behind 17-0.
Still in the first quarter. Bentley's kick, a hot one. And for the 5th time that Miami's touched the football, they'll start a series from the 20. Warrick Dunn, in his senior year in high school back in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, one of 6 children, had to learn the news that his mother, a police officer in Baton Rouge but working off duty as a security guard, had been shot to death during his senior year in high school. She was working as a security guard for a grocery store. The manager was making a deposit overnight at an ATM. She was killed. Clement to Green for about 7. But with 5 siblings back in Louisiana, Dunn has become the father figure of that family. His brothers and sisters back home, raised by his grandmother, Willie Wheeler. And he occasionally will make a trip, and with Bobby Bowden's blessing, back to Baton Rouge just to talk to his brothers and sisters. There's his mother.
Not only that, he talks to one of the brothers or sisters or the grandmother every day on the telephone. He told me that yesterday in visiting with him. He calls home or they call up to him and they visit every day. He's a marvelous young man.
2 tight ends for Miami, and that's near the first down. Dunn on his right wrist writes the words "Mom" on his right wrist. You can see it on the tape. And he is truly a Heisman candidate. He came to Florida State and roomed as a freshman with Charlie Ward, another exemplary young man who won the Heisman Trophy back in 1993.
Charlie calls him every once in a while. They visit about how things are going at Florida State.
3rd and 1. Fullback gets it. and on a second effort gets the first down. That's Joseph. Let's go back to the sidelines with Michelle.
Well, guys, Dunn also wears the name Mr. T on those wristbands. You can't see it, probably hidden by the gloves. Not only is Dunn a surrogate father to his siblings, but he had a surrogate father himself in Tallahassee, a guy named Chuck Tanner, who just passed away in the last few weeks. He was an older gentleman, a fan of the Seminoles, and had just taken Dunn under his wing there in Tallahassee. But Dunn told me that he lost him just a few weeks ago, Jim.
Well, you know, Michelle, when we were talking to Dunn, well, we'll get back to that. As Clement under fire, tucks it away, takes the sack. Frustration for the Hurricanes, who are being swamped here early, 17-0.
Greg Spires, number 90, the defensive end, is going to put the pressure on Clement. The thing that Florida State can do when they get you into passing situations, you are playing right into their hands. That is the biggest fear that Butch Davis had and Larry Coker, the offensive coordinator at Miami, had coming into this game. Don't let Florida State get you to where they know you want to throw the ball. That was a 1st and 10 pass, but they're down 17-0. You anticipate the pass in that kind of situation.
Andre Wadsworth is starting nose guard for Florida State, hobbles to the sidelines. A little nicked up on that last play. Julian Pittman is in. 2nd down and 13. Got a flag. Maybe a free down for Miami, but just a little gain.
Looked like the snap count of Ryan Clement drew Florida State off.
A Miami team that had allowed 13 points in the first 4 games, and now Florida State erupts for 17 in the first quarter alone
with those great plays.
54-yard fumble return for touchdown. Warrick Dunn 80-yard run touchdown. 2nd and 9. Miami. Clement fumbled, and Jay Ina recovered. Another flag is down. This time Peter Boulware combined with Reinard Wilson to hammer the quarterback, and it looks like the 3rd holding penalty of the first quarter against the Miami offensive line.
And it was on 61. Jay Ina just could not handle Reinard Wilson. There's just too much heat on him right now. Wilson's wide outside him.
Penalty decline. 3rd down.
In that situation, all of the advantage goes to the rusher.
They have a saying, the sack attack for the Seminoles. They say, meet me there or beat me there. That's what Henry Crockett likes to say, and that's the rush to the quarterback.
A couple of those guys, Wilson and Boulware, they're impossible to block alone. You've got to double them with a guard or a tackle, with a back tight end. You need to get some help on some of those guys.
Already with 3 sacks in the first quarter, 3rd and forever, and Clement has a man down there. Caught again for a good gain by Yatil Green. 40-yard completion to the Florida State 40.
Yatil Green has been open deep 3 different times in this game thus far against the bump coverage. Mario Edwards, number 15, right there, just gets outrun by an excellent athlete. Clement does put the ball where he needs to that time. A huge play for Miami.
It was 3rd and 20, and they go for 40. In fact, Green has almost a 100-yard quarter here with 4 catches, 94 yards. Ferguson, another flag down.
On that last play, 3rd and 20, it's unusual at times to see those corners pressed up quite that much. You might get off the ball a little bit in that kind of a situation, but Florida State has such confidence in their defensive backs and such confidence in that pass rush, they'll get up and press you in 3rd and 20, 1st and 10. It doesn't matter to them.
Florida State was offsides. So Ferguson gained 6, but they'll take the 5 and get the down back. First and 5 from the Seminole 35.
There's Mickey Andrews, the defensive coordinator at Florida State.
Tyrell McMillan will be a new challenge for Mickey Andrews' defense. Number 28 has come into the backfield for Miami.
He's more of a power, strong inside runner than Ferguson is.
They don't get the playoff in time, but they'll switch ends and have the wind at their back. A disastrous first quarter for the Hurricanes. Bobby Bowden's team so impressive early, 17-0. We'll return to the Orange Bowl after this message and a word from your local station. Ensign Terry Donahue back with you along with Michelle Tafoya. And what really makes that 17-0 score more remarkable is that Florida State had the football for 2.5 minutes.
That is a remarkable stat right there. There's not a football coach in the country that would believe that that stat would prove to be true.
But Miami driving, first and 5, Florida State 35. McMillan, first carry of the game, and that's near a first. In fact, let's point that out. You don't keep the football for 12.5 minutes without moving it, and they've had it now 3 times. With this one being the 3rd possession, 3 times in Florida State territory.
And they were working into the wind in the first quarter and had receivers open. They just missed them on 2 different occasions. This quarter, they're with the wind. It's going to help their throwing and their attack.
McMillan was the starter in the first 2 games this year during Ferguson's absence. And he picks up a good gain there, but not enough for the first. 2nd and 1. Fake the pitch, going long, Green's open. Did he get a foot down? Yes, touchdown, Miami.
Yatil Green has been open all day long against Florida State's defensive backs. In this case, number 23, Byron Capers, is beat badly by Green. Does he get a foot down? Hard to tell right there.
Extra point is missed by Miami. The kick by Andy Crossland, a freshman. That's the 3rd PAT he's missed this year. 17-6 Seminoles. Had been a touchdown. Yatil Green.
In college football, you've got to have 1 foot down when you have possession of the ball. Right there, he's got possession of the ball. Looks to me like Miami got away with one there. It's a good throw by Ryan Clement, but it does not look like Yatil Green has control of that ball when that ball came down.
Clement throwing his 10th touchdown of the season versus 2 interceptions, one of them coming today. And Green, don't forget, he caught that 40-yard pass play on 3rd and 20 to keep that drive going.
And that completion's going to help Ryan Clement's confidence right there.
And the kick will not be run back. Crossland drives it to the back of the end zone. Florida State's defense had not allowed a touchdown in 9 quarters.
I'm not sure they allowed one in that quarter either.
Really? That's right. UCLA all over Arizona State, 28-7.
How about them Bruins?
You told me you like the Bruins in that spot today.
I like them. UCLA was right to upset Arizona State. I know the game's not over, but they had the right mindset going into it.
Let's see if the Miami defense can respond. The players on the Miami bench waving their arms, getting the crowd into the game. Busby. Cooper is there. Cooper. That was an important tackle put on him by Dennis Scott. They pump fake to Cooper and it throws a couple of defenders. It goes for 23 yards.
Andre Cooper got into the seam between the corner and the safety. A little pump fake by Thad Busby drew the corner up, and all of a sudden there was a seam in that defense.
Warrick Dunn is out on this series. Rock Preston replaces him. He's quite a talent also. Lined up as the tailback out of the eye. There he is, Preston, in traffic for about 2, maybe 3. Miami defensively had not allowed a touchdown in 13 quarters coming into this game. In fact, over 200 minutes had elapsed until they gave up a touchdown, and that was the Warrick Dunn run.
And Butch Davis attributes that improvement to better play out of his secondary, better support by those defensive backs.
Booker Pickett, you saw him for a moment, 53 in on the defensive line for Miami on 2nd and 8. Busby with good time. Man is open. He's got the tight end, Pearsall, who rumbles to the 36.
You don't see a tight end in the Florida State offense all that often. It's unusual that they throw to the tight end. They're generally a 3 or 4 wideout offense. But right there, Melvin Pearsall came across the middle, made the reception.
It goes for 19. No huddle for Florida State. From the 36 of Miami. This time he'll take it under center. Busby prefers the shotgun. Preston to about 3 Hurricanes that included Denny Fortney. Orange Bowl jinx. Well, against Miami, you might be able to make a case. It's been since 1984 since the Seminoles beat Miami on this field. But since that win in '84 against Miami, Florida State has beaten Nebraska twice and Notre Dame once on the Orange Bowl field. Second down pass play, a beauty. Goes for the first down to Cooper. 12:20 remaining in the first half from the Orange Bowl. Some light showers now in the area. Jim Nance with Terry Donahue and Michelle Tafoya. Florida State scored first on a field goal set up by an interception by Troy Saunders of a Ryan Clement pass. And then another Miami mistake, a fumble by Ferguson, return for a touchdown by Shevin Smith. The next time Florida State's offense had the ball, Warrick Dunn broke it, 80 yards for a score. Miami has just come back to connect on a touchdown pass, missing the point after. And on 1st and 10, Rock Preston runs for about 3. Florida State driving. 17-6 Seminoles. Both teams come in undefeated, 4-0 on the year.
Bobby Bowden used to call the offensive plays at Florida State. Now he just makes suggestions in between series. The offensive coordinator, Mark Richt, he makes the calls on each particular play. They signal them out into the field, even though Florida State operates out of a no-huddle offense.
Florida State at the top of your screen brings in Peter Warrick. Warrick for the first time, but it's Preston getting the running play, and he's about a yard shy of the first. Scott got to him first. Peter Warrick is just a freshman from Bradenton, Florida. They say he's an exceptional talent. He was the #1 recruit back in '95, a redshirt freshman with tremendous skills and speed.
They predict he'll be the next great star at Florida State.
Wayne Messam has replaced him on 3rd and 1. Florida State will go from the shotgun on the short yardage situation. And Preston near the chain. Right at the 15. Preston, a junior. He'll get the starting call next year after Dunn graduates. He's averaging 12 yards a carry coming into this game. Khalid Abdullah was injured on that play, the fullback. And he is assisted off the field. Looked like he may have hurt his left arm.
Florida State plays so many different players on both offense and defense. It's incredible. They run 4, 5 wide receivers.
They don't have the first. 4th and inches. And they bring in Pooh Bear Williams at fullback, number 22.
About 270 pounds worth of Pooh Bear.
Well, let's see. Bobby Bowden's going to go for it. Leading 17-6. They bring in 2 tight ends. Kamari Charlton, the second tight end, joining Pearsall.
This is an area for a quarterback sneak. You've got just inches to go. There's no use giving the ball to a back who's lined up 4 or 7 yards deep in the backfield.
Quarterback sneak for the first. You got it, Terry. Butch Davis, who used to be the defensive line coach here for Jimmy Johnson. Kuber brought in, but used as a decoy on the sneak.
How do you decoy a 270-pound fullback? There aren't many of them born.
I didn't say you could hide them. First and 10. Warrick Dunn has returned. His last carry went 80 yards for a touchdown. Here he is again. Ooh, is he hit hard right away by Twan Russell, and James Burgess finished off the play. No gain.
When you're playing linebacker and you've got to take on a fullback who's going to go right at you, this is what it looks like when the guy's 6'1" and about 270 pounds. He really missed Russell 45 right there. Instead of making full contact, he winged him, as we say.
This is the 11th play of the drive for Florida State. It started the series from their own 20, 2nd and 11. E.G. Green and Peter Warrick are the receivers. Busby's going to the end zone, looking for Green, almost intercepted. Dwayne Starks with the coverage. E.G. Green had to turn into a defensive back suddenly to prevent the INT.
Dwayne Starks had great coverage on E.G. Green this time. The ball really should have been intercepted. Right there, E.G. Green, as you said, played good defense, took it away from Dwayne Starks, preventing the interception. Sometimes when you're playing offense, all of a sudden you got to play defense.
3rd and 11. Busby, end zone, out of bounds. Caught by Cooper, out of bounds. He wanted the interference call. There was some contact over at the back end of the end zone, back corner.
Andre Cooper was a great high school basketball player. He has leaping ability, but right here, Earl Little is all over him, and they're shoving at each other right there. But right there, Andre Cooper threw him out of the way. To me, that was offensive interference. An offender cannot use his hands to move off a defender in a pass play.
Scott Bentley, already good today from 48 yards, will now try one from 32. Bentley's kick is good. 20-6, Florida State, and we'll return to the Orange Bowl after this word from your local station. Florida State with 2 field goals from Scott Bentley, a fumble return for a touchdown, and an 80-yard Warrick Dunn run for another score, leading 20-6.
You got to believe that the Florida State players are feeling awfully good about themselves right now. They've come into this stadium. Really, I'm not positive that they were sure about the game at the onset, but here with a 20-6 lead, you can just tell on the sideline, and when they just got out of that kick coverage huddle, they're ready to play, and they're feeling a lot better about themselves.
Come on, Crawford!
Now for Miami, the Hurricanes played early in the year, 3 games in 13 days, but before this one, only 1 game in the last 29 days. So with some concern, there'll be a little rustiness on the Hurricane side.
A lot of coaches would feel that's not enough competition during a 29-day period. However, Butch Davis felt strongly that his team was totally rested, healthy, and psychologically just couldn't wait for the kickoff. But the big breaks in the quarter went to Florida State. They made the big plays. That's really been the difference in the game. It isn't that Miami's not ready to play or they're rusty. The breaks have gone to Florida State. They've made the big plays.
Jones comes up to make the catch. And good starting field position for Miami. At the 37-yard line, Trent Jones. And let's go back downside to the sidelines with Michelle.
Well, guys, this is Jim Polo and Torrey Davis. No one is happier to see Scott Bentley make his field goals than this family right here. Their 16-year-old son, Jimmy Davis, idolized Scott. He was a young high school kicker, just 16 years old when he died in a car crash. Scott Bentley spoke at his funeral saying, "Jimmy, I want you to know that every time I make a kick in the college or the pros, when those arms go up, buddy, they're going up for you." And the family wanted to be here to see it. Jim?
And Scott Bentley has already made 2 in this game. Twice able to raise the arms. Ferguson for about 3. Miami has run the football 17 times for a total net yardage of 7 yards, losing a great many yards on 3 sacks.
And you've got to remember that Yatil Green has been open deep several times in this game. They need to take advantage of the win situation here. They can beat Florida State deep. They've proven it. They need to get back to it.
2nd and 8. The draw, Ferguson. Took about 4 Seminoles to bring him down. It'll be 3rd and about 5. Florida State has employed 10 defensive backs so far in this game.
And at least 2 deep in their defensive line. They're rotating fresh players in constantly in the defensive line and at linebacker positions.
Mickey Andrews, who told us this week, we've been playing musical chairs in the secondary in his 13th year as the defensive coordinator.
Likes to play a lot of players, feels like they practice better, they stay healthier, they fight to get those reps.
3rd down and 5. Maybe a free down for Miami. There is a flag as they sack the quarterback. Cannell Spain with the sack, but if it's a penalty against Florida State, it would likely be enough for a 1st down. It's going against the Seminoles.
Cannell Spain was anxious to get at that quarterback, and again the voice inflection of Ryan Clement is what drew him off right there. They jump. He actually didn't jump. 55. Reinard Wilson jumped. Spain makes the play. It's just after the flag. You know, coming into the game, I felt like Wilson, Bulware, and Wadsworth were the guys that couldn't be single block, but Spain has really stepped his game up today. He's made 2 or 3 key plays. He wants to get back in there. He didn't like rotating out of there.
He said, "They took away my sack." Someone jumped, and it gave Miami a 1st down. Wadsworth, by the way, out with a contusion on his leg, and they'll evaluate his playing status the rest of the day at halftime. Clement. Oh, is he hammered? Lamont Green, the sophomore from right here in Miami.
Lamont Green, along with Stevens, number 52. The heat that Florida State is putting on Ryan Clement right now is going to take a toll as this game goes along. Right there, you see Stevens, 52, make the play.
Demetro Stevens in on that hit, along with Lamont Green. 2nd and a long 10. Another draw, a flag down. Ferguson scampers to the 43. A flag right on the snap. And Mickey Andrews tips us off. Motion penalty against Miami. Again, mistakes hurting the Hurricanes.
when you get into a big emotional game like this,
Offense, 5-yard penalty, repeat second down.
a game where there's such a buildup on not only the local level but the national level, you constantly talk about mistakes to your team. Let's go into this game. Let's try to play mistake-free football. Florida State thus far has done a great job of that. Miami has had trouble with it.
Tony Gator back as a receiver, split wide to the right. He is really exciting if they can get the football in his hands. 2nd and 15. Comes the pressure. Clement, good job getting it away. Short gain to Chris Jones, the tight end. Actually got about 7 or maybe 8 yards. Dexter Jackson blitzed the quarterback, and Clement's a little shaky.
Florida State came with the blitz here, and Ryan Clement gets just hammered right there by Dexter Jackson. Just hammered. What a hit.
So far, you talk about under pressure. 3 sacks, 7 times he's been hurried. Picked off once also.
Got to be careful about all those pregame statements you make.
3rd and 8. Fakes the pitch, makes the pass. Nice catch. First down for Green at the 32. Is he impressive?
Well, he is. Yatel Green has started out with a bang this afternoon. This is just a little quick inside slant. He starts outside, breaks it back inside against 15 Mario Edwards, makes a good catch, and then dives for the first down. What an effort. Yatel Green is a big physical player. He's at least 6'2", probably 205 pounds.
Already with 143 yards receiving. First down Miami, 4:40 to go in the half. Ferguson inside the 30. Lead blocker Nick Williams out in front of him. Gain of about 4. Ferguson from the same high school in the Miami area that produced Alonzo Highsmith, another fine running back in Hurricane history. And his 1,069-yard season last year, only the 2nd 1,000-yard rusher in Miami school history.
And he's a complete back. He blocks as well as receives in addition to running with the football. He's complete.
2nd and 7. Clement rolling out. And the pass intended for Benton, and he had someone on his back who knocked it away. It was James Colsey.
He's one of those 9 or 10 defensive backs that Florida State's been rotating in there.
Colsey, the nephew of the former Buckeye and Raider Neil Colsey.
Magic Benton, number 8, is one of the finest weapons that Miami has come across in recent years. He's open there. The ball is a little bit high, a little bit late, but that hit him in the hands. He's got to make that catch in this kind of a game.
Another 3rd down situation. They've converted a couple of times. They had the big 3rd and 20 conversion on their last series that led to a touchdown. This one, let's see. Clement across the middle. Jones first down at the 10. 19 yards on the 3rd down situation. 3rd and 7.
Miami has utilized their tight end this season as a receiver. Chris C. Jones comes across right here. Clement, it's a little 3-step drop. He runs an inside slant route. The ball is delivered quickly right on the target. Excellent throw, excellent timing.
Florida State has called a timeout. Mickey Andrews said, hey, come on, guys. That's 6 times they've converted on 3rd down. Miami's driving, trying to get back into this game. We'll be right back.
It's up to return the punt. Prime time.
Oh, brother. Anyway, take it from me. Forget your fancy sports drink and get yourself some bicarbonate of soda.
I'm Pat O'Brien in New York, coming up on the 4th.
Well, Darrell Bush, the leader of the defense, has come back in out of the timeout. He does not have a broken nose, they say now, but he is dazed and double vision. He's in the locker room for a while, and Bobby Bowden signaled for him to get into the game.
You want your middle linebacker, the guy who controls your defensive tempo. You want him back in that game if there's any way possible he can play.
1st and 10, or 1st and goal from the 10, and Ferguson picks up 2.
You know, Bush's nose has been cut the 2 previous weeks. He takes about 5 or 6 stitches. Those helmets come down on those bridges of the nose, and they cut them sometimes. That's what he's been going through.
Let's get another update on that. Back down to you, Michelle.
All right, well, when he came off the field and they were looking at the stitches that came out of his nose, his biggest concern was, did I get the better of the other guy on that play? But they re-stitched him up, took him off the field for a while to monitor him, Jim. But as you said, now he's back in.
Hey, this guy's a warrior. He's a warrior. He loves him.
2nd and goal from the 8. Miami down 14. Clement, right side, Williams, stacked up at the 5. Good one-on-one play there by Samari Roll, wearing Deion Sanders' old jersey, number 2. That number was retired last year and will not be worn after Roll finishes his Florida State career next year.
Miami slipped number 30, Nick Williams, out of the backfield there. Beautiful form tackle right there by Samari Roll. Puts his head right where he needs to, brings him down. Excellent defensive play.
And now Ryan Clement says, I need to talk it over. He calls a timeout for Miami with 2:38 remaining in the 2nd quarter. It'll be 3rd and goal when we come back for Miami from the 5. About how one game could change, one play could change the complexion of a game. And a touchdown here for Miami before the half would bring them within 7 should they make the extra point.
Psychologically, you sure want to get 7 out of here and not 3. But you might have to settle for 3 if it's 4th and 5, 4th and goal. With 5 yards to go, you might have to settle for your 3 points and go back in and regroup at halftime. This is a huge play for Miami's offense. Miami has had tremendous success on 3rd down. 3rd and goal.
Clement backpedaling, now flinging end zone. Touchdown! Yatil Green for the 2nd time.
Yatil Green has had one of the great halves in Miami history right here at the top of the screen. He's a big physical receiver. He pushes off right there. The official doesn't call it, but that play belongs to Ryan Clement. He got away from the Florida State blitz, escaped, and made the play work.
This time, Crossland kicks the extra point through. Ryan Clement has now thrown for over 200 yards in the 1st half. 2 going for touchdowns. It's Florida State now by 7.
Right there is matched up against Jay Ina, the right tackle of Miami. Ina misses the block. Wilson puts the pressure, but Clement escapes and gets that ball over to Yatil Green for the touchdown. Great play by Ryan Clement.
He was 5 out of 6 on that drive. And look at his numbers, over 200 yards passing.
Look at his reaction. You think he's fired up? Butch Davis was saying that this guy is like a gym rat. He's around the players all the time, loves to go out with the offensive linemen, be around him. Look at this guy.
Put him on the kick coverage team with that guy.
They might.
Enthusiasm. And Warrick runs it back near the 20. Jorge Gaitan kicked the football.
Miami may use their timeouts here if they've got 2 timeouts. If they get Florida State stopped here on this 1st and 10, they very well might go to the timeouts to get that ball back for their own offense, because Yatil Green has demonstrated the ability to get open and beat the Florida State defense.
Miami has had the football for almost 20 minutes, 20 of the 27:30 in the game. That Busby, will he beat the play clock? Just barely. And Dunn fumbles the football. Recovered by Miami. Denny Fortney knocked it loose. Kenny Holmes recovered.
Can football turn around in a hurry?
Holmes said, I'm tired of people saying we haven't beaten anybody. Bring them on.
Well, Denny Fortney, number 99, caused the fumble, and Kenny Holmes, number 90, he got it. But right there, the ball is stripped. Holmes, Johnny on the spot, ends up with it. Coaches talk all the time at Miami. Tackle stripped the ball.
First and goal from the 9. Clement going right away for it. But a miscommunication with Magic Benton. And Clement's over there to discuss it with him. Ryan Clement, who again said beating Florida State isn't something we hope to do, it's something we're going to do.
Boy, you like Ryan Clement. He walked right over that time to Magic Benton and got it squared away. He left no doubt in anybody's mind who busted that play. That's leadership. You want that out of your quarterback.
Second and goal. Ferguson, no gain. Canell Spain was in on him.
Miami has been known this season to work the tight end position with the ball. They also like backs out of the backfield, but when you have a guy like Yatil Green in your lineup, you want to try to get him the ball, get the best player on your team the ball if you can. Right now, he's the hot guy.
Third down has been their down. Third and goal. Clement steps up, dumps it. Ferguson felt the footsteps. Byron Capers would have kept him short of the goal line for sure anyway.
The pressure from Florida State disrupted the timing on the play-action pass right here. Again, Wilson came around 55 from the outside, forced Clement out of the pocket. He dumped it off. Just couldn't handle the ball there. Ferguson, number 1.
So a field goal try by the freshman who has not missed a field goal this season. 5 or 5. 26-yard try by Crossland. And a kick is good. Miami converts the fumble into 3.
You know, you have to give the Florida State defense credit. They came in and kept them out of that touchdown range. They gave up 3 points. That's to their credit. But the psychological lift for Miami right now, coming back, getting back into the rhythm of this game and getting their confidence back is huge right before halftime.
And is the wind important today? Well, 33 of the 36 points in this game have been scored at that end of the field.
When you play in wind, generally speaking, you're going to do anything you can as a coach to make sure that your team gets the wind advantage as you decide what that advantage is. Both coaching staffs want the wind at their back.
Tonight on CBS, welcome home to America's Night on Television. All
Miami's spirit in that ball game. It'll be interesting to see how both these teams react after that important field goal and points on the board right there with 1.5 minutes left in the first half.
Gaitan to kick off. Pops it in the air this time. Warrick on the run back. And he is belted at the 18. Eugene Ridgely in on the play, along with Roderick Mack, a freshman, number 51. Well, since the championship era began in '83, the Hurricanes in October, 48-5.
And they're hard to beat in September, October, November. It doesn't matter. They're hard anywhere, and they're particularly hard here in the Orange Bowl.
Before halftime. Busby from under center. Gives to Dunn. who was tripped up at the 20. James Burgess clogging the middle. 1:12 and clock running. Miami with 2 timeouts. They make a play here. They may, in fact, utilize one of the 2 timeouts.
I'll be very surprised if they don't. I'm a little bit surprised they didn't utilize a timeout right there. But when you play a dangerous Florida State team, and every Florida State team is dangerous, you probably wonder about whether or not how far you want that clock to get down before you start utilizing those defensive timeouts.
Now Busby retreats to the shotgun. He'll return with the crowd so stirred. Dunn, 15-yard line, 3rd and 3.
They won't use one here. They can't stop the clock.
Well, there's a signal for one by Burgess. 28 seconds. Clock stops. So Miami does, in fact, use a timeout. It'll be 3rd and about 3 for Florida State when we come back. 3rd and 2 with 28 seconds left in the second quarter. Leading 20-16. Miami with a furious comeback here in the second quarter. They plug it here. They get the football back one more time before intermission. But Dunn has the first down yardage out to the 30.
Carries for the Seminoles.
Warrick Dunn contained today except for 1 carry, and that's a big exception. That one went for 80 yards, the longest run of his career. Touchdown in the first quarter. 7 carries, 98 yards overall.
That's a heck of a good first half against one of the best defenses in the country in several categories.
They don't even have to snap it again. They'll take it to the locker room with the lead. But remember, Florida State was in front 17-0 at one time. They'll take the lead at the halfway point, 20-16. And let's go down to the field with Michelle Tafoya. Michelle?
All right, I'm standing by with Butch Davis. 16 second quarter points after Florida State came out so strong. Your players have really gained the momentum coming back or going into halftime.
Obviously, the turnovers have made a big change of difference. You know, we totally messed the first quarter up. I mean, we put ourselves in some bad holes with some turnovers, didn't effectively convert on some third downs, and gave up, you know, a big play. So, you know, but I think our players are fighting. We're back in it. They believe they're in it, and it should be a hell of a second half.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, Coach. That's the end of the first half with the score. Florida State 20 and Miami 16.